Alrighty, come on. No, give it another try. Yeah. Going for it again. Two in a row. Missing Clover 4 is here. Here we go. 4 clovers. Take a prize card. Bottom right. That's Jirachi. Jirachi onto the bench. Final prize card. 3-turn win. Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new expanded deck profile. Today I've come here to present my magnum opus. My videos have actually peaked. This is going to be probably the funniest deck I will ever post. Yeah, we're here for Radiant Jirachi. Radiant Jirachi, this is the goofiest card I have ever made a video on. I absolutely love this deck. I went on a 10-win streak on the expanded ladder with it. It is both simultaneously toxic while also being one of the worst decks of all time. And yet I went on a 10-win streak with it, because you just have to get good at flipping coins. It's all based around this Radiant Jirachi right here. 90 HP is very important. It does have that 90 HP, very nice. Metal type is not important, but it is cool. And it has 2 great aspects. It is a Radiant, so you can only have 1 of it in your deck. Keep that in mind. If this Pokemon's in the active spot and is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, search your deck for up to 3 cards and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. This is incredible, because what we're going to do every single turn is loop this Jirachi. And this is Entrusted Wishes, basically has to be online. So we do have ways to like get around, like hopefully stadium locks and that like Silent Lab, Path to the Peak that would turn this off. We have our own counter stadiums to hopefully get rid of that. You want this Entrusted Wishes going off because that is going to just really help you loop this Jirachi. Just absolutely incredible ability. It does have to be damage from an attack, so things like Shadow Riders, Shadow 5 pings on the Astral Barrage are going to go around that, so do be careful there. Though they do take 2 hits to KO you in that regard. And for 2 colorless energy, flip 2 coins. If both of them are heads, your opponent's active is knocked out. We are actually building around Astral Misfortune. And you may be like, well, this attack is terrible. I've won 10 games in a row. I am 11 of 14 games that I have played with this deck, one of them being an instant auto loss because they're playing Vikable V. I have won 11 out of 14 games. That's incredible. And I lost 1 just because I flipped 6 turns in a row. I flipped tails. Yeah, let's get down to talking about the rest of the deck. We're using the extremely, should be banned, but is funny, unknown Farewell Letter. If this Pokemon's on your bench, you may discard this Pokemon, all cards attached to it, and then draw a card. Seems terrible, it's really not. With help from other cards in the deck, this essentially becomes Pot of Greed. We have Dragonite-EX from Evolutions. This is part of the Unown combo. When you play it from your hand into your bench, you may put 2 basic Pokemon, except for Dragonite-EX, from your Shabelle into your hand. Attack doesn't matter, that you can use it. 130 for 2 DCEs, discard energy attached to your opponent's active. I have never used this, and I don't think you should. What we're here for is that pull-up ability. Every time you use this pull-up ability, you can get 2 Unknowns back, essentially netting you 2 cards. And we'll get more to that later. Actually, you know what? We'll just talk about the rest of the combo now. It's appropriate. 4 copies of VIP Pass. You can only use it on your first turn. Search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. VIP Pass becomes draw 2. You do want to set up your Radiant Jirachi so that you can have it in the active at all times to take advantage of the Entrusted Wishes. However, your VIP Passes are essentially becoming draw 2 cards for most of the game, or for the first turn of the game. And then we have Net, which put one of your Pokemon that is an MV or GX into your hand. If you pick up and put back down Dragonite, that's another 2 cards. And we have Rescue Carrier. Put up to 2 Pokemon, each to 90 HP or less, choose spell into your hand. If you pick up 2 Unknowns, that's 2 cards. You can also use it to pick up Jirachi, which is notable. Moving on from the Unown combo, that is extremely important though. You would not believe it. This is actually consistent. If you're not getting ability lock, this deck does work. And you don't get too bad of a starting hand. 1 copy of Jirachi Prism Star with the Wish Upon a Star ability. If you took this Pokemon as a face-down prize card once during your turn and your bench is not full before you put it into your hand, you may put it onto your bench and take 1 more prize card. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to put it into the prizes and then prize map it out to get an extra prize card. How are we going to do that? We're going to use Peonia. Put up 3 prize cards into your hand, then for each prize card you put into your hand, put up a card from your hand face down as the prize. So if Jirachi isn't prized and you find it in your hand, you can use Peonia and put it into the prizes. You can also use that to get rid of dead VIP passes, which is pretty good. There's a few things we're going to want to make sure that are unprized. We're going to need our Jirachi. Obviously, it's only a 1-of and you can't play more. We're going to need our Victini. You're going to want that Jirachi in the prizes, and you're going to want to know where it is, potentially. And then you're going to want to have your Dragonite out of the prizes. Everything else you can live without in the Pokemon lineup. We play 1 copy of Jirachi-EX. We play this because we play Level Ball. When you play this Pokemon from your hand into your bench, you may search your deck for a supporter, reveal it, and put it into your hand, shuffle your deck afterward. We're using this so we can get good starts. So if you go second, you can use Level Ball, search for a Jirachi, search for Brigette, which we'll talk about in a minute, and just get 3 unknowns, or 2 unknowns in Jirachi. You cannot get Dragonite and 2 unknowns due to Brigette's limitation. However, Gloria is worse because Gloria does not get Jirachi, Dragonite, yeah. Funny thing, I built this deck literally because I was like, I wanted to build a Radiant Jirachi deck, but then I was like, okay, why not just have 3 Jirachis? Sure, that works, and it actually does, and it's actually great. It's so good. It's so funny, rather. It's not a meta staple. You're going to lose to, like, Silent Lab. You're going to lose to your point locking Silent Lab in play. You're going to lose to item lock. Things like that will ruin you. But if you don't care about those, you can have a lot of fun. 1 copy of Victini here from Noble Victories. You can play a different Victini. This is the one I play. The Victory Star, that's what is important. Once during your turn, after you flip any coins for an attack, you may ignore those effects and reflip those coins. So this gives us a second chance every time we use that Astral Misfortune. You flip 2, that's 25% chance. You flip 2 again, you get another 25% chance. Potentially we can manipulate that further. There is a better Victini, the one from Guardians Rising. It fits perfectly into this deck as well. The Victini from Guardians Rising, which is right here, also has the Victory Star ability and has 70 HP. The reason I'm playing this Victini from Noble Victories is because I pulled the full art the other day and I wanted to bling this deck. 2 copies of Brigette. This is our main search with the Jirachi-EX. Search your deck for 1 basic Pokemon EX or 3 basic Pokemon that aren't EX and put them onto your bench. So a lot of times turn 1 you're going to get like 2 unknown and a Jirachi. Later in the game it can actually be used to recycle Jirachi as well. It can also be used to get your Victini out. Very good use of that as well. I have used it to get Dragonite out so I could scoop up net him off the field and start using him. I've also used it for this fella. Jirachi is also good for searching other supporters, but on turn 1 you're always going to search for Brigette. Turn 2 occasionally going to search for Brigette as well. 2 copies of Peonia. We talked about this card already. It's also good to search with Brigette. If you have a Level Ball in hand and you have this fella already in hand, Level Ball for Jirachi, you search for Peonia and get the Jirachi combo off. You want that Jirachi into the prizes sooner than later. We play 2 copies of Will. The next time you flip any coins for an effective attack, ability, or trainer card this turn, choose heads or tails for the first coin flip. So notably that you do have to watch out because this does only last for the turn. So you can only play Will and use the attack in the same turn. So don't play Will unless you guarantee the attack. There's no reason to waste Will. You're not like drawing until you have X cards in hand. Just keep the Will in your hand. But when you do, you get to reflip your first, or you get to guarantee your first of the 2 coins. So then this attack becomes a 50% chance. Unfortunately, it does not count for the reflip. So when you reflip with Victini, the Will effect will go off. So, that's a funny pun. So the first one's going to be a 50% if you use Will, and then the second one will go back to being 25 in the same turn. So unfortunately it doesn't last for both, but that'd be a bit broken, would it not? But it does give you just a 50% chance of taking that key knockout you need, and it's nice to have. 1 copy of Roseanne's backup. I'm still not sure about this, but I do like it. Shuffle a Pokemon, shuffle a tool, shuffle a stadium, and shuffle an energy from Scoop Up into your deck, and you can choose any amount of them. What I'm here for is that I want to shuffle the tool of choice. We have 1 really important tool. We have stadiums that we need to make sure we're chaining if we're against a specific Silent Lab or Path to Peak. We have this stadium right here, this tool right here. We have energy that we have a low count of that we can chain, and we can put back Pokemon, even if it's just Jirachi, or you put back an unknown, see if you can draw back into it and net another card. If you have like all unknowns in discard pile, like all 4, or even 3, then there's like no loss. You're just putting 1 back in deck. It just makes your deck essentially 1 card bigger, but also 1 card thinner, because unknown is just a draw 1. So I've been testing this. I don't know if it's the best card in the world, but I also like it, so take it out if you want. You can just put If you do take it out though, put it into the next slot. The next slot is Teammates. If you do want to take Roseanne out, put a second Teammates. You can only play this if one of your Pokemon is knocked out during your opponent's last turn. Search your deck for up to 2 cards, put them into your hand. The wonderful thing off of this is that we can actually grab this off of Jirachi's Entrusting Wishes, and it essentially gives us 4 cards off of Entrusting Wishes then. And a lot of times you're going to do this. Teammates is also just great for looping the Jirachi, because every turn, remember, you're going to want to loop the Jirachi. Usually it's going to be used Lana's Fishing Rod to shuffle Jirachi, Life Dew back into the deck, and then Teammates for the cards you need. Usually you're going to have like one of the pieces in your hand, or a Level Ball to find Jirachi, sometimes an Adventure Bag to find the Life Dew again, and then the energy is a little bit more difficult, so a lot of times Teammates, it comes in handy there. 4 copies of Level Ball searched with a Pokemon with 90 AP or less. Everything in our deck except for Dragonite can be searched with this, so it's absolutely great. Obviously Jirachi, I talked about the supporter synergy, as well as searching this Jirachi or this Jirachi for when the time comes, this being most of the time. 4 copies of Battle VIP Pass, as I said, you want to get those unknowns down early. You want to start drawing early, and especially if you can get like 2 VIP passes off on turn 1, you are absolutely chilling. It is absolutely great. Yeah, play 4 copies. And then once you're done with your VIP passes, once they're not useful anymore, you can Peonia them into the prizes and not have to worry about them as long as you set your prizes and remember them. 2 copies of Heavy Ball. Look at your face down prize cards, reveal a basic Pokemon you find there, put it into your hand, and then put Heavy Ball in its place as a face down prize card. And then if you don't reveal a Pokemon, then just put this in the discard pile and shuffle your face down prize cards. So, you can see we play a lot of one-ofs. You don't want Dragonite prize, you don't want Jirachi prize, you don't want this Jirachi prize. Well, actually, you do want it prize, but you don't know where it is. And then you don't want Victini prize. Sometimes you might just leave this Jirachi in the prizes if it's already in there, because why bother putting it back in. But you don't want Victini prize, you don't want this prize at all, and you don't want this prize at all. And sometimes it can be helpful to also get it turned into an unknown to getting that 1 draw. So 2 copies of Heavy Ball is absolutely necessary. I would not play less than 2. It's absolutely played great. Just be warned that if you set your prizes with Peonia and then use Heavy Ball, it shuffles your prizes. So use your Heavy Balls before you use a Peonia, or just get the Peonia effect off and get the Jirachi combo going, or just not worry about it if you don't have that many prizes left. It's up to you. 3 copies of Venture Bag. Search your deck for 2 tool cards and reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. We have 3 tool cards total in the deck, so it seems obnoxious to play that many Adventure Bag. However, it's actually really good because we want to loop that combo. It's also really good to find those tools turn 1 to get them out of the deck. A lot of times U-Turn Board and Life Dew are your main go-tos. Rescue Scarf is just here as a backup if you don't have the Life Dew on that turn. Can help make setting up the combo a little bit easier. 3 Adventure Bags played pretty well, though you could go down to 2 copies. I would not go less than 2. Yeah, you want that Life Dew early, you want the U-Turn Board. U-Turn Board can a lot of times be really useful if you start an Unknown, which is pretty common considering it's like half of your basics in the deck. You can attach a U-Turn Board to Unknown, retreat to the bench, put up Jirachi, and then when you Farewell Letter, you'll get your U-Turn Board back. A lot of times you're going to turn Victini into a pivot because it's got 1 retreat, or if you have a Jirachi played down, that also works as well. Either one of these 2 Jirachis, not the Jirachi. There's a lot of Jirachis in this deck. 1 copy of Field Blower. Choose any 2 in any combination of tool and stadium cards you're in your opponent and discard them. So this is twofold. 1, we want to get rid of our opponent's Path to Peak and Silent Labs. Those are no-nos. We get absolutely destroyed by those cards and we need them out of play. Another thing we need to absolutely get rid of is our opponent's, the tool card, the Big Umbrella, or is it Big Parasol, that blocks effects of attacks done to their active, because if they're blocking effects of attacks done to their active, this card does nothing. So, yeah, notable. I would definitely play 1 copy of Field Blower, and the reason is that if your opponent has a Shadow Rider Calyrex and a Silent Lab and they Shadow Mist, you can't get that out of play with your Chaotic Swell, so having a Field Blower to get it out of play, potentially, trust me, it's not a good matchup, but if you can do that potentially, then you're chilling. 4 copies of Missing Clover. This is the 4 flex spots in the deck. I am doing this because it is such a funny meme, and I have gotten this off several times, so it's not undoable. If you played 1, look at the top card of your deck. Never do this. If you played 4, take a prize card. So if you play all 4 from your hand, you get to take a prize card. And this may seem pretty impossible, but actually with the Entrusted Wishes, searching those cards out, and you just raw drawing from the deck with Unknown, it's actually very easy to piece these together. A lot of times you're going to just use this to trigger your Jirachi combo, meaning that you will take effectively 2 prize cards with that. And there was a turn where our opponent had, I had 4 prizes remaining, the opponent had a 2 prize drop in the active, and I won because Missing Clover grabbed Jirachi, Jirachi grabbed another prize card, and then I got the I got the, Astral Misfortune off to win the game. 4 copies of Net for one of your Pokemon that's Navier GX into your hand. Talked about this already, but this is for picking up Dragonite primarily. Can also be used to reuse Jirachi-EX in a pinch. I have used it one time to pick up an Unknown to get Jirachi to the active and put the Unknown on the bench to use its effect. 4 copies is absolutely necessary. I played with 3 before and I was like, Dragonite is kind of good. Let's play 4. 4 copies of Lana's Fishing Rod. Shuffle a Pokemon and a tool card from your pile into your deck. What this gets back is it gets back Radiant Jirachi and Life Dew. You play 4 copies because it's really nice to have that card in your hand, so that part of the combo is done. Once you put those cards back into the deck, you're going to want cards like Brigette, Teammates, Adventure Bag, and Level Ball to set the combo back up. Teammates is obviously the best though, so like I said, if you want to switch Roseanne into a second Teammates, that is perfectly understandable. 4 copies of Rescue Carrier. Put up to 2 Pokemon, each with 90 HP or less from your pile into your hand. Just gets those Unknowns back, like I said. Also gets Jirachi back from the discard pile, making it easier to pull off your combos. Primarily, though, it's for Unknown to draw, but it can be used for Victini and Radiant Jirachi to keep them in play. 2 copies of Special Charge. Shuffle 2 Special Energy from your pile into your deck. We only play 4 energy, and it's going to a lot of times take us more than 4 energy to win the game in a long-running game. So you're going to put those back into the deck. With Special Charge. I think 2 is pretty good. I would not play 1, and I was playing 3 before, and it was nice, but I didn't need 3, I don't feel like. 2 copies of VS Seeker. Put a supporter card from your pile into your hand. Just allows us to tech out these supporters. Most of the time you're going to be reusing Teammates and Will for those very strong effects to hopefully win the game. 1 copy of Life Dew. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out, your opponent takes 1 for your prize card. I was able to loop this 4 times in one game with the Lana's Fishing Rod, and it felt pretty good. You want a prize deny, well, you just keep reflipping until you win. Obviously this deck is a little bit vulnerable to gusting because it's going to leave fatties like Dragonite on the bench, but nothing you could but just, force your opponent to hit into the Jirachi when they can, get them Entrusted Wishes off for more cards. It feels pretty good. You're going to want Life Dew, but if you can't get Life Dew for your Jirachi, we do have a backup tool being Rescue Scarf. We can only play 1 Life Dew because it is an A spec, keep that in mind. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out by damage, put that Pokemon into your hand. Again, the whole damage thing means that Shadow Rider's Astral Barrage will get around it. What this is primarily here for is that if we cannot get our Life Dew, if our Life Dew is like prized early on and we need to start Peoniaing for it, we're playing Rescue Scarf so that we can put it on our Jirachi, and it makes the combo a little bit easier to set up because the Jirachi will go back to your hand, and then you can just have to find an energy for the next Jirachi. So it makes the combo 1 piece easier, and since we're reusing Lana's Fishing Rod for tools anyway, why not? 1 copy of U-Turn Board. Retreat cost the Pokemon that's attached to is 1 colorless list. If it's discarded from play, put it into your hand. Definitely play this over Floatstone. I know Dragonite's big, just make sure you have a net to get him out of the active if need be. Usually he's not going to be sitting in the active, except for in the very start of the game if you start him. U-Turn Board is good for everything else in the deck. And like I said, when you attach to an Unknown, retreat that Unknown to the bench and Farewell Letter, you will get your U-Turn Board back. 2 copies of Swell. Whenever either player plays a Stadium card, discard that Stadium card after discarding this one. So this is going to give you an extra turn, keeping those nasty Silent Labs and Path to the Peaks out of play, and 4 DCE to round off the list. This is probably my favorite deck that I've made and expanded in the past year. This is definitely my top 3 favorite expanded decks of all time. It's so funny. It is so ridiculous. This deck is, it's not real. I can't believe that it actually works. I made this deck on a gimmick and then I went on a 10-win streak. So yeah, give it a try. Maybe there's some things, like I said, if you want to switch out the Missing Clovers because they are flex spots, my recommendations, though haven't tested these, 2 Nest Ball. Nest Ball gets all your basics as well as Dragonite. Be careful not putting Jirachi down or this Jirachi down. And then 2 Rescue Stretchers to give you more discard synergy. That would make your deck a little bit more consistent. But the deck's already pretty consistent as long as you're not getting locked. This deck kind of does what it does. Thank you all so much for watching. Give the deck a try. This is my magnum opus. You're not going to see a better deck list from me, probably ever. Maybe ever, but probably not for a while. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.